Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mudassir Behram, and our today's topic is racial microaggression. And my group members are Khwaja Muhammad Hamza and Muhammad Ziaullah. Racial microaggression. Racial microaggression are brief and commonplace daily verbal, behavioral, or environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative racial slights and insults towards people on color. Those who inflict racial microaggressions are often unaware that they have done anything to harm the other people. There are three types of racial microaggressions. Number one, microassault. Number two, microinsults. Number three, micro invalidation. Number one, microassaults. The conscious, deliberate, and explicit racist attacks, whether verbal or non-verbal, are meant to hurt the victim. Name calling, using racial slurs, avoiding or discouraging interracial interactions, and displaying conducive to well-being are all the examples of microassaults. Microinsult, while often unconscious and much more fine, a microinsult demeans and belittles the victim through racial slights or comments that seems innocuous but are insulting to a person of color. For example, when a person of color being mistaken for a service worker or a woman clutching her purse when walking past a person of color with the message that you are a criminal. Now, third one, micro invalidations. These comments and behaviors can exclude the invalidations people's thoughts, feelings, or experiences in life. For instance, asking an Asian American that where they are really from, this implies that they are not from the United States of America and they are therefore a foreigner. Now, STEM education. Race and gender disparities remain a challenge in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education. Or shortly, we can only say that in STEM education. The role of racial microaggressions. When we introduce a campus racial climate as a framework for conceptualizing the role of racial microaggressions as a contributing factor to the lack of on co- representation of domestic students of color in STEM programs on college campuses. We analyze the experiences of students of color in STEM majors who have forced who have been faced the racial microaggressions at campus, academic, and peer levels. According to our survey happened at a very large public university of United States of America, it is estimated that the series of Poisson regressions to examine whether one's race, gender, or class year can be used to predict the likelihood of a regular occurrence of the microaggressions. Now, racism in South Asia stems. Racism in South Asia stems from the duality of casteism and colonialism. The caste system classifies the society into different units of ground inequality and and dates back to the Aryan era. Caste sets special class, social status, and occupation, but it has been racialized to frame lower castes as darker and upper castes as fair skinned and pure. Over time, the prejudice become internalized into the social, political, and economic fabric of the subcontinent. Now, to this day, the caste system and its subsequent discrimination haunts South Asia as people of lower castes are oppressed by the system and as well as the society. Now, here are the some factual information where you can see that how the students are receiving out of school suspensions just on the basis of on their race, color, and their gender. Now, Zia will continue.
Hello, Muhammad Ziaullah here. As our topic is racial microaggression in STEM education, we are discussing about racism. As we discuss about the facts and figure, only 82% of the rich peoples in Pakistan, because this is traditional in these days that only the rich can get got at the good education, but only 82% due to the racism. Like someone's recommendation, and when we move towards the poor people, only 50% of them can get this education. This can also due to the racism that most of that can be neglected due to their colors, due to their religions, due to their caste. Therefore, if we can talk about the poor, only 50% of them can attend the school. No merit and other things are given to them. Only due to the some links they are getting education. Like the backward areas where there is still Vadera system, they are even still not allow their followers to give education to their children. As we move toward the rate of consumption in Pakistan, Pakistan is a poor country. Ratio of poor people in Pakistan is 1.5% more than the richest one. So only one quarter remains who are doing the education in the school, and the poor can only be neglected due to the reason of not recommendation, the differences of black and white due to the reasons of war. When we are moving towards the ranking, Pakistan is on the second highest in the world in which children are out of school, and only the reason that the poor people and the racism which can make this, and the high ratio of children are neglected and remain out of school. Now moving towards the consequences, there can be a lot of drawbacks and consequences which can be drawn out of this due to this racism phenomena. There can be loss of education in the country and loss of educational opportunities that most of the children lack their education facilities. Second one is the negative psychological impact, which results the increase in number of wrong actions like drug addiction and other wrong things. Number of drug addicts increasing day by day, which can be only for the reason that they can be neglected from the schools and from the higher ones. Also increase in the rate of criminalizations, children labor, which can be danger for the society and have a great threat for future. Next one is the antisocial behavior, mean use of wrong and abuse language, unethical acts, thing which can disturb the other and can be destroy the peace of other. These all are the consequences of racism in STEM education. Now my colleague Khwaja Muhammad Hamza will continue from here. Thank you.
Now I'm going to talk about Islam and anti-racism. As we all know that before Islam, the racism was very common among Arabs. They were really discriminated over their color, race, or having a greater wealth. Islam brings all the persons under a same umbrella, as described by our Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in his last sermon, that an Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. A white person has no superiority over a black, nor does a black have any superiority over white, except by pity and good action. As described in our Holy Quran, that we created you all from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes, so that you may know one another. Verify the nobles of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Surely Allah is all knowing, all aware. Now I am going to give you the ethical justification by giving examples of different surveys conducted in different educational institutions. In our first example, we can clearly see that she was a victim of racism. She was not answered correctly because of because of her color. The foremost duty of the teacher is to entertain the questions of every student, regardless of his or her color, race, or wealth. This is ethically wrong. This is ethically wrong that you disregard any student only because of his or her color. This is another example of the survey conducted by US Department in 2015-16 in different educational institutions, which clearly shows that the number of students which were expelled out of the institutions were mostly the black. They were given priority over white only because of their color. As described by my fellow member, that the terrorism is increasing due to racism in educational institute. The student left their studies due to the victimization of racism and start taking part in terrorist activities. It is the foremost duty of the government and the education institute that they should provide equality among the students so that they should feel safe and they do not take part in any of such activities. It, the institute should provide equal opportunities to every student regardless of their race or color so that they can take part in their academic and co-curricular activities. We should, as an individual, stand against the racist jokes against the lower caste so that the racism can be decreased. That's all from us. Thank you.